Welcome to another training with Coach Connect Hub. I'm Sam Rafis, and today, Todd, welcome back. I love Todd's presentations here. Everyone usually gives such great comments about the information they learn from cybersecurity consultant Todd Mitchell. Todd, today you're talking about ensuring online safety for families, right? Have I got that right? All right. Todd, every week I just say take it away. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I love this group and all the people who love to help each other more than look out for themselves, and surround myself with that type of people. So, okay. So today we're going to talk about online security for families. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So, how do we keep our children safe online? And so I want to touch on a few topics. One is going to be who's in charge of cybersecurity in your home, who's in charge of, or not who's in charge of, but cyberbullying, identity theft, online gaming, social media, and then what I call the core four, which are the four cybersecurity principles that you can do sitting at your desk or on your sofa with a laptop in your lap, free and easy. All it takes is a couple of minutes of your time. And the first question is, and I need to get the chat room open so I can see any answers, but who's in charge of online safety in your home? Let me see if anybody has opinions. Is it the kids or is it the parents? All right, so we got parents. Okay, so according to a Pew Research article that they did about a year ago, where they polled a lot, it was over a couple 100,000 13 to 17-year-olds and their parents. This is what the research finds. 62% of the teens think it's their responsibility for cybersecurity in the house. 10% think it's their parents' job. And of the parents, 44% think it's their responsibility, and 8% think it falls to the child. So we've got a pretty even split of slightly under half of the parents think it's their job, and more than half of the teens think it's their job, which is kind of scary, because that means that the most computer savvy or person in charge of online safety in the house is the one who needs to be safe. So the correct answer is, whoops, wait a minute, I lost my mouse. There we go. You should share the responsibility equally. And the reason why I say you should share it equally is because, as with all things, when teenagers get to that age and they start running around being social with their friends and leave the house on a daily basis, you can't control their internet. You can't just take away their devices or shut off internet access at 10 o'clock at night or things like that. I mean, those may be useful tools when they violate, their rights or their use, or things like that. But as a normal way of controlling their online safety, that is not the best way, because they're just going to go to their friend's house, use their Wi-Fi, or they're going to run, borrow somebody else's phone and look up stuff. So you need to start at an earlier age and teach responsible internet use. Okay, so this was a statistic that kind of started me on this whole passion of mine of creating cybersecurity awareness for parents. 55% of the 13 to 17-year-old girls that they surveyed admitted that they've given out personal info to someone they did not know, including photos and physical descriptions. And I don't have the other statistic in here, but half of those 55% said that some of the photos were explicit. So 44% of online teens admit to lying about their age so they can set up an online account. 30% of them share their passwords. 47% of the girls said they shared passwords, and 27% of the boys said they shared passwords. So this is something that every parent needs to be aware of. Just the huge statistics. I'm a numbers guy, and I'm sitting here. The first time I heard that, I was like, so that means if you got two teenage daughters sitting in the back bedroom while you're out watching TV on the couch in the evening, one of them's probably already done it. And that is just a huge wake up call. So, and then a few other statistics just to kind of create some awareness. 91% of them post photos of themselves, which that's kind of the point of social media, I guess. 92% use their real name. 84% post their interest. I'm kind of zigzagging back and forth, but 71% put their school name and their city and town where they live. 82% their birthday. So you've got teenagers posting pictures, address, birthday on a routine basis because they don't know any better, and they don't realize that they are just wide open for identity theft, predators, some crazy guy on the internet that they pissed off showing up in your driveway, whatever, something. I mean, that's just, yeah. Anyway, okay, so cyberbullying. So we'll get into that. So what do you guys think is the number one thing that people get cyberbullied for? Any guesses on what they actually get bullied for? Okay, so they get bullied because of appearance is the number one reason. And 41% of the girls and 29% of the boys get bullied for appearance. Sexual orientation is 25%, political beliefs 15%, and then for the boys it's 14 and 24. So if you notice these numbers, boys get bullied kind of equally almost between appearance, sexual orientation, and political beliefs, where with the girls it's twice as much about appearance as it is the other two. So in my mind, when you're looking at awareness, if you're either a parent or you're a professional that deals with teens or deals with parents of teens, the number one thing that you should be looking at, kind of maybe the main focus is, we need to find a way for girls to feel good about their appearance without posting explicit photos and irregular photos with too much information attached to it on the internet. So yeah, 62% of, that's another statistic, but it's like at least 46% of the of people have been cyberbullied from one of these things below, which is name calling, spreading false rumors, getting explicit images they didn't ask for, constantly being asked where they're at by somebody, so basically stalking, physical threats, and having explicit images that they posted being shared without their consent. So how do you protect yourself from cyberbullying? So 2/3 of the teens have witnessed online cruelty or have also witnessed other people joining into it, and 21% say they also joined in. So quite a large majority have seen this firsthand, and about half of them jumped on the bandwagon and went along with it. So even though they all think it's wrong, they're just following the crowd. So things you can do is to tell teens and tweens, always think about what you post. Don't share anything that could hurt or embarrass anybody. Keep your password secret from other kids. Think about who sees what you post online. I mean, is this something that, you're posting to Instagram because of 2 or 3 friends, but, there's a million other people that have access to your Instagram account that can see it as well? Or are they friends? Or are they friends of friends? Kind of control who can see this information based on what it is. Keep your parents in a loop, let them know what they're doing. I recommend your friend, being a friend of your teens and tweens online accounts. You don't need to go in there and comment and embarrass them in front of their friends or anything like that, but you should at least be following them so you can see what they're posting. Talk to an adult that, if things get on, if they see something that makes them sad or scared, or if they see cyberbullying, they need to they need to know first off that they should go find an adult and report it. Whether it's their parents, whether it's a school counselor, whether it's, friends, parents, or whatever it is, whoever they feel comfortable with. And then if your child is being cyberbullying, you want to offer comfort and support, just kind of letting them talk about it, lets them feel less alone. Let your child know that it's not their fault. And I pulled this from the internet, by the way, from government websites. So, I preface this with, I'm not a mental health professional. So, there's probably some aspects to this that a mental health professional would be able to speak a lot better on. But notify the school, a counselor, the nurse, a principal, teacher, somebody, let somebody know what's going on. Encourage your children not to respond to cyberbullying. A lot of times these guys are just doing it to get attention, and they're saying something mean on there because they know it's going to get, like 1,000 comments and likes and everything else. And so if everybody just ignores it, basically they go away. You want to keep records, make screenshots, things like that. Make a little log book and write down every time it happens, and take screenshots of it, stuff like that. That way, if it does get out of hand and you have to get the police involved or whatever, you have some evidence. And finally, and probably most importantly, is get help. If they know the bully, if it's somebody at school or whatever, get a therapist involved and have the two kids sit down with a counselor or mediator or something and kind of work it out and figure out what's going on. The most common places where cyberbullying occurs is, is on social media, obviously, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. I would actually say up to current things, I think Instagram would be Snapchat would be number one, and Instagram would be number two right behind it, with TikTok and Facebook right behind there. Because Snapchat is very popular with teens, and Instagram is kind of popular with everybody, but it remains a dominating force. But Snapchat is currently the most go-to, that and like WhatsApp and stuff like that. Text messaging, instant messaging, direct messaging, that'd be like the WhatsApp and those type of things, or chat rooms in games, which we'll get into that a little bit later. With your Discord and your Twitch and things like that they're using while they're gaming on their Xbox or PlayStation. Online forums, Reddit, even Alignable, sometimes you see people making some kind of nasty comments, or telling people that they don't know what they're talking about when they make some sort of a comment. And then even through email, and this has online gaming communities kind of at the bottom of the list, but I would actually don't be disillusioned by that. I would put that as the number 2, right behind social media, if you were going to rank these in order. So I think Snapchat, Instagram, and then gaming communities would probably be the way I would order that. Okay, so identity theft. Before I get started on this, does anybody have any questions or anything on the social media part? Okay, so identity theft. The reason why I mentioned this, I made this little graphic that pretty much says it all. You got a baby with a social security number stamped on his forehead, laying there, and it's supposed to be sarcastic. It's like no baby is laying in its crib, in the hospital before it even goes home, thinking, what's my credit score? However, the first thing you do, I think they even nowadays, I noticed with my granddaughter was born a year and a half ago, the hospital was the ones that provide you with the forms to fill out to get your social security number. So you actually have a social security number for your baby before they even leave the hospital. Now, the problem with that is, when's the first time they use their credit? They're like 16, 17, 18 years old, maybe getting their first job, trying to get a credit card, or, going off to college, buying a car, whatever. So your credit sits dormant for 16 years at least. So freeze it, call all 3 credit reporting agencies, you know, Experian, TransUnion, what's the other, Equifax, you know, you get a hold of those guys, and they do it for free. You just have to call and wait on hold forever and finally get to a real person or whatever. But you can get a hold of these guys and just say, freeze this credit. And you give them the social security number, they'll freeze it. You know, 15, 16 years later, when you need it, you've probably forgotten by then and it won't work. And then somebody will be like, oh, your credit's frozen. You call them up and be like, oh yeah, I forgot. You know, can you unfreeze this now? But that prevents it, because the problem is I can take your baby's social security number and use it to buy a house, buy a car, whatever, never make any payments, totally ruin the credit, all kinds of stuff. And you won't even know about it for 15 years. You know, so that's a high recommendation on my first thing on identity theft. Some other things to prevent identity theft kind of reiterates what we were talking about with the cyberbullying. You know, share with care. Make sure you know what you're posting and who can see it. You know, and own your online presence. There's some other things that we're going to get into about a little bit more specific of what you can do, but just remember, your personal information is money. That anybody who doesn't believe that, my case in point is Google. It doesn't cost anything to do a Google search. It doesn't cost anything to send a Gmail. It doesn't cost anything to Google map directions to the nearest restaurant. Yet it's the biggest tech company in the world. They're charging somebody for something, and it's all about the information. So when Google does it, it's actually legal. They collect everything they can about you and sell it to advertising companies and things like that. However, the bad guys do it, and it's illegal. That's a whole different topic. We can talk about some other day on why that is. But the bottom line is, your information is worth money to somebody, either through advertising and Google the right way, or through the dark web and the black market, you know. But your information is worth money, and that's why people are trying to get a hold of it. So just be careful what it is you're posting. If you have secure your devices, strong passwords, be careful using public Wi-Fi. If you're sitting in Starbucks and you can get into your Wi-Fi and there's no there's no password to get in, that's not a secure Wi-Fi. If they prompt you for a password, they got a poster on the wall that says what the Wi-Fi password is, at least then the Wi-Fi is protected. But if there's no password, it's not a protected. And I would say it's okay to use that if you're just internet surfing, maybe checking your Facebook or something. But if you're trying to pay your bills, paying for hotel rooms, or doing any kind of business that kind of more businessy type stuff, I would not do it unless you had a VPN. And even then, I'd be kind of leery. I'd avoid it if I could. Some stores use Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to track you. I don't know if this has ever happened to anybody. It's happened to me, where you go to Walmart and you're shopping, and about halfway through your shopping trip, you're standing in the pet food aisle or something, and all of a sudden your phone dings and you look down and you got a text message from Walmart telling you that they're having a sale on Purina or whatever, and you're like looking around like, how the heck do these people know that I'm in the middle of the cat food aisle right now at Walmart? Because you got your Bluetooth on, and they've got trackers in the store with Bluetooth signals. So as you walk past certain aisles, it logs where you're at. So they track your movements around the store. Now they're doing that so that they can judge customer flow and figure out where to put the milk and the eggs to get the most traffic through, and whatever, that kind of stuff. But the reality is, they know every place you went and looked at all this merchandise, and they can send you coupons up to the split second that you're actually there. So my advice is, if you're not actually using it, shut off Wi-Fi, shut off Bluetooth. If you got your Bluetooth on because you use it to connect to your car, or you got your headphones or whatever, but if you're walking around in a store or out in the park or whatever, and you're not actually using any of those devices, shut your Bluetooth off. Because think of it this way: you've got your normal means of internet coming in, which is like your front door. And then you've got all these back doors and windows that are Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, near field communication, all these other ways into your device. And if you weren't at home, you were leaving your house to go to the store or something, you don't leave your doors open just because you normally use that door off and on all day. You shut it behind you and lock it. So just think of it the same way with the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth and the, you know, those other types of near field communication and things like that. You should have those shut off when they're not being used actively by you. That way the bad guys aren't using them on you. So kind of sidetracked a little rant on that, but so back to how to protect your children. Play in disguise, and this actually applies to adults too. You have two, I say you have two worlds. You have your real world and you have your virtual world. And in your real world, you have to have multi-factor authentication and security pass questions and you know, verified with your driver's license number or social security number or something, all these things to get into your bank account, to get into your, you know, your company's website, or, you know, payroll, or, you know, get your taxes, or all these different things. So that's the real world. When you're playing Minecraft on Xbox, nobody needs to know the real you. So make your username something that is ambiguous enough that they can't tell your age, your sex, or your location, especially with the children. They don't need to be, you know, Texas Disney princess number, you know, 2006, so everybody knows that they're from Texas and they were born in 2006, and they're probably a girl because of the princess. You know, make it something more ambiguous. You know, you can take plants and vegetables and colors and be like, you know, brown tree, black flag, you know, black mouse, red bear, or something, you know, whatever. And you know, you can use your imagination and let kids come up with something. But the bottom line is you want to make it so that if somebody sees that username, they can't tell who it is they're talking to. So they're a lot less likely to try and groom somebody for sex slavery or something like that if they don't know for a fact that it's a teenage girl and it might be a middle-aged guy that's going to call the FBI on them or something. So just kind of keep that stuff in mind. If you receive private messages from a stranger while you're gaming, you know, with Discord and Twitch and all that kind of stuff, make you know, if they start asking you all kinds of personal questions, you're just like, wait a minute, why are they asking me all this? You know, report it. You know, it definitely tell an adult, if you are the adult. Most gaming platforms and social media platforms have a way to report bullies and stalkers and things like that on there. And if enough people report the same person, they'll eventually kick them off the platform. Avoid messages that contain links offering discounts. This is a big thing. Matter of fact, I just saw this in the news yesterday. EA gaming console, I think it is. The parent company of Minecraft just got a class action lawsuit in the hundreds of millions of dollars because they keep sending pop-ups and these little kids are hitting the damn button and buying stuff off of your credit card and you don't even realize it. This actually happened in my family. My son-in-law got a $700 bill from my grandson buying upgrades to games on his Xbox. He's like 6 or 7 years old. So this is quite common. But and all the other thing to remember is if you're playing in a group and somebody is streaming, everybody is getting their audio and text recorded as well as a video. So that's just something to keep in mind. Just because you're not recording it, don't think you can say something and it won't be permanent because somebody else could be recording it. And the next thing you know, you're on the internet saying whatever you were saying. So just kind of be aware of that. And then, you know, the basic prevention of making sure your computer's safe, and that goes to gaming consoles and stuff too. If there's a way to secure a little bit, they don't have much security, but they have some. Okay, so moving on to other things you can do. And I would suggest, if you have younger children in the house, even teens, I guess, make a family game out of this. Google yourself. Get everybody in the house to sit around the dining room table with their laptops or their phones in their hand, and have everybody Google their own name and see what they can find out about themselves in a Google search. You would be shocked. I've done this on myself before, and it comes up with about 10 of my relatives. I think 2 of them I'd never heard of. The other 8 were actually correct. They might not have had the most current address or phone number for them or whatever, but it pretty much listed most of my family. Same thing with locations and addresses, because what people don't realize is Google's not the only one collecting your information. But a lot of your information is publicly accessible. It is completely acceptable to run a soft credit check on anybody for any reason. Insurance companies do it, your prospective employers, all these different companies have reasons for it. But the reality is, anybody can actually do it. It costs like $10 or something on some website, and you can run a soft credit check on somebody. And if you do a soft credit check, you find out everywhere you've ever worked, everywhere you've ever lived, and if you have a house or a car and all that kind of stuff. So when you're Googling yourself, there's these companies like Find Me or whatever that have People Finder and a couple other ones that accumulate all these information from all these other databases. The other one that's public record is anything with a county clerk. So any arrest records, property records, things like that. And they pull all this information together and compile and go, oh, well, according to this, you lived in these other, these 4 or 5 apartments, and you've had these 6 different phone numbers throughout your life or whatever. And like I said, every once in a while you find some stuff, or they got you mixed up with somebody else and there's 1 or 2 of them wrong, but most of that stuff is spot on, and it's kind of scary. It's like, I'm looking at this thing going, I didn't even remember that phone number. That was from like 2000 or something, it's like, but anyways. And then the other big thing I like to tell everybody is look for background reveals. There's a lady on TikTok that can find send you a picture of your house in like 10 minutes or something. She does this like every day. And the reason why is because your social media account has so much information. It's like, you give her your Facebook account. She goes in there and she looks, and oh yeah, here's a picture of your daughter going to prom, and you took it in the driveway, and there's a house number over her shoulder, and then off in the distance in the background there's the street sign that says you live on a corner of Main and First or whatever. And so all that stuff is there. And the next thing you know, it takes 10 seconds on Google Maps, and I'm looking at your front of your house and I'm looking and matching the picture going, yep, that's the right house. So these are things just to be aware of, what kind of information. You might be real good at not saying these things in writing, but if you've got pictures that have all these posters on the wall behind you that give away the only restaurant in town that has that, or you're the only house in your city that has a brown fence instead of a white fence or whatever, and now it's not hard to find you. Third thing is, yes, your webcam and your microphone can be activated remotely, and no, they don't always have to have that little power light on when it happens. So I recommend you keep your webcam covered when not in use. They've got the little slide ones or the flippy things that you can stick on your laptop to cover the camera. I've got a big camera that sits on top of my monitor, and my wife knitted me this little baby hat looking thing that just slides right over it, and it completely kills my camera. You can't see nothing. So I totally recommend doing that. There are actually entire websites dedicated to cam feeds from people who didn't know they were being recorded. I've seen more than once where people go gaming, and then when they're done gaming, they shut off Twitch and they shut off their other accounts, and they think their camera is off, but it's actually still recording. And so now their laptop's laying in the middle of their bed, and they go jump in the shower or whatever in their bedroom, and it's recording them walking around half naked and all that kind of stuff. So this stuff happens. So try to prevent that. And then last but not least is the core four. So these are the four things that anybody can do to protect their phones, computers, laptops, mobile devices, whatever it is. Any account you have, use multi-factor authentication. I know the banks usually force you to, they don't give you a choice. So everybody, you go to log into your bank and you got to have your phone in your hand because they're going to text you the code. So but that's also something that you can sign up for with most of the social media platforms have it as an option. Gmail has it as an option. It's a pain to have to do this every time you log into your email, but it gives you an extra layer of safety because now if somebody gets your username and password, they still can't log in because they don't have your device in their hand. The other thing you want to look at is making sure you have long, complex passwords and use a password manager so that you can help remember them, or so you don't have to remember them, I guess would be a better way of putting it. 1Pass, LastPass. I personally use Google Chrome and Firefox, and both of those have their own password managers built into them. The third thing is keep your software up to date. Every time your operating system gets hacked, they identify what the vulnerability is, and then they take that and they patch it. And that's what comes out every Tuesday is patches to vulnerabilities. And if you don't download the patch, two things happen. First of all, you have that vulnerability. Second thing is, if you're not aware, when you can ping anybody's computer as long as you have their IP address. And when you're pinging that, there's actually software out there that's free that you can download if you know what you're looking for, that will allow you to ping people's computers and come back with what operating system they're using and what version number it's on. So if I ping your computer and look at the version of Windows and it's like Windows 11 version, 2901.12. whatever, and I know that that's the one from 2 weeks ago that had this vulnerability and you haven't patched it yet, I now know how to hack into your computer real easy. And then the last thing is identifying and reporting phishing. So I'm going to get into that one real quick. We'll spend about the next 5 minutes looking at some phishing attacks because they're fun, and I like to show people the actual real life examples. So if you see anything that looks anything like this, you can kind of know how to identify them. First of all, I want to talk about why do people, we call this social engineering. Why do people use social engineering in the first place? Basically, they want to steal your information or steal your money or take over your computer and use it for something bad. And the reason why we use social engineering is I don't need to use all my hacking skills like you see in the movies in Hollywood where somebody's clacking away on the keyboard writing code or typing in command prompts, and that's how they hack into places. I don't need to do all that. All I got to do is hit you up on Facebook with this cute little quiz of where did you meet your husband? What was your third grade teacher's name? What was your first car? If you could get married again in the same place you got married the first time, where would that be or whatever? And you answer these questions on Facebook, and now I've got the answers to all your security questions to get into your bank account. And so I can just find your username, which is probably the same as your username on Facebook, and I go to your bank and I punch it in, and then I click the little forgot password button and it pops up with questions. What was your first car? What was this? What was that? And I got all the answers and now I'm in. And then because you were lazy and didn't set up two-factor authentication, I set it up. And now you can't even get back into your own account because every time you try to log in, it sends me a text and I just hit the wasn't me button and you're locked out of your own accounts. So anyway, so social engineering is very easy to get information from people by having a conversation with them instead of spending all the time and effort to actually hack into their system through other means. Here's an example of a phishing attack. So you'll notice on here there's some words misspelled. The copyright's 15 years out of date. They're saying they're happy to do business with us, but they like incomplete sentence. And then the biggest thing is if you hover your mouse over the link and of course it doesn't work on my slideshow because it's just a picture, but if you hover your mouse over the link on your browser, you will see down in the bottom left corner, it will give you the name of the address that it is about to send you to. If those two don't match, don't click that button. You'll see that all the time on places where with ads and stuff, where you hover your mouse over the thing and down at the bottom, it's going to send you to add double click dot whatever, you know, and it's like, no, just don't do it. Here's a real life example. I have actually received this email. My annual plan has been auto renewed, which doesn't really sound right, but you never know with the subject line being catchy. Headlines don't really use proper grammar. But then the next line, it's from YUGFGYJKK something whatever at gmail.com. That is not a PayPal. I mean, these guys make enough money at PayPal that they can afford the $72 a year to get an email address with their domain name on it. So I'm already knowing that this is not legit. But then we're going to go further. So this is to undisclosed recipients. And supposedly this is a copy of a receipt from PayPal showing me that my renewal got paid. So it's one piece of paper scanned in as a PDF. Well, if that's true, why the heck did you send this to a bunch of people? I mean, if it's my receipt, it should be for me only. It shouldn't be going to 1,000 people at once. Then the next biggest thing on here is, if you know anything about documents, if you do a lot of office work or anything, but a single piece of paper in a PDF is in kilobytes. And I would say under 20 of them, probably like 10, 11 kilobytes, something like that. This is in megabytes, which is thousands. So this is literally 1,000 times larger than it needs to be. So that tells me that regardless of what they say and what it looks like, this is not a single sheet of paper. There's some malware implanted in this, just wanting you to click the button. And then I'll point that out right now. I don't really have a slide for it, but the reason why they want you to click the button, and this will be a recurring theme over the next 2 or 3 slides. If you've ever downloaded legitimate software on your computer, you get the little pop-up, your screen goes dark, and a little pop-up from Windows that says, this software is trying to make changes to your computer. Do you want to allow it? Yes or no? And you have to say yes, or you can't download the software. So what these guys are doing is they got bad stuff they're trying to get you to download, and they can't because Windows won't let them unless you click a button, because you have to have user action, which is clicking a button. So their whole goal with all these phishing emails and all the stuff that comes through social media and, you know, emails, text, doesn't matter where it comes from, they throw this stuff up in your face, and all they are trying to do is get you to click a button so they can go back to your operating system and go, hey, see, Richard clicked a button. He said, yes, he wants this software on his computer. And then they can download whatever crap they wanted to and take over your computer. Okay, search via search engine, topic. Yeah, already logged into LinkedIn. And it would show the LinkedIn page. Yeah. Yep. So that's very true. And that's the other, that's what they call Satya, that's actually what they call cross-site scripting, which I didn't even mention that, but that's a whole different topic, and not to scare everybody, but if you've got your browser open and you got your bank on one tab and Facebook on another tab and your email on another tab and Alignable or something on another tab, somebody can, if they hacked into one of those systems, they can actually jump from one tab to the other on your browser and get into the other systems, because all your session cookies are stored in the same place. So that's something to be aware of too. If you're on a website that looks a little bit shady, make sure you don't have any other tabs open. Or if you're like doing banking and things, don't have your Facebook open on another tab at the same time, because if somebody hacks your Facebook, they can jump over. And that's just what you're talking about. You were doing some research, landed on some website that was a little shady, and it had a LinkedIn thing, and you were already logged into LinkedIn, so it just jumped right on over. Yep. Okay, so here's a few more examples. These, one of them's an email and another one's a text. They were basically the exact same thing. They're trying to get me to click the button. This one's playing with your eyes a little bit. because everybody knows it should be an HTTPS for security, to make sure that it's a secured website. And if you don't know that, now you do. And these guys threw the S on the other side of the colon. So it's not a secure website, but you first look at it and you see the HTTPS and your mind kind of plays a trick and you think it's a secure website, even though it's not. But and these ones you don't obviously know are fake unless you know me. So these are kind where you have to put your own common sense in there. They're telling me my Amazon account has been locked. Well, my Amazon account's in my wife's name and it has absolutely nothing to do with my business. So they don't even know I own a business, let alone what my credentials or my phone or email or any of that. So I know this is bogus because I don't really have an Amazon account. I mean, we do, but it's like I said, it's in my wife's name and it has nothing to do with my business. Then I got this other random text message that tells me it's from EBT, which I don't get EBT, but my card's been locked and I got to call this phone number. Well, if it was EBT, that's a government agency and they have 1-800 numbers, not 377 numbers. So I don't even know what this is. But again, and it's a hot link, so you can click it and it just instantly starts dialing. So one of two things is going to happen. Either, first of all, that click is going to download some junk that we don't want, or I'm going to end up on the phone with some guy who's going to talk me into sending him a credit card number or $1,000 or something to fix whatever problem it is, which he's the one actually causing the problem. So either way, I don't want to do it. And then this is another one I've seen not so much lately, but about 1.5 years ago when the Ukraine war first started, this was a huge thing where you're on your website, on your computer, browsers open, checking different websites, doesn't even matter what website you're on. And all of a sudden, just all this stuff starts popping up. 3 or 4 pop-ups, you've been hacked, you've been this, Windows security alert, you know, this other Windows firewall alert, and your scanner went off alert. And they even, at the time this happened, hacked into my, had an audio alarm going off at the same time. So my laptop's all of a sudden is screaming loud noises at the same time. And so being a human being, your first reaction is a panic attack and you just start clicking buttons all over the place trying to get this thing to shut up because it's screaming loud and the baby just finally went to sleep or whatever's going on. And that's exactly what they want to happen, because refer back to a couple of slides ago when I said the whole point of this is to get you to click a button. So what you need to do when this happens is, and I'll even type it into the chat. Oh, whoops. Control-Alt-Delete. And then when you get to the Control-Alt-Delete, the next thing that comes up is a menu and you want taskbar or task manager, I think it is. Oh, sorry about that. Let me edit. I don't know if I can edit or not. Nope, I can delete. Okay. Task manager. So Control-Alt-Delete task manager. And then you find your browser and you check the box and say close or quit or end or whatever they label the button, and it will literally shut your browser down. Now, just a couple of reasons why I want to do this. First of all, see this dark gray box around the outline? This is actually the real button. The rest of this is graphics. So they've literally made a button the size of your computer monitor with a bunch of graphics behind it. So it doesn't matter if you say, okay, cancel, click the X up in the corner, hit the minimize, click off in the margins, whatever you do, anything on that screen that you click is going to do what they want of being registering as a click. So what you want to do is go and Control-Alt-Delete. And if you have an Apple, I can't remember, somebody told me once, I don't remember what the keys is. I think it's like, I think it's the Apple button and L or T or something, whatever it is. But anyways, you hit Control-Alt-Delete on a Windows computer and then Task Manager and kill your browser by letting the operating system shut your browser off and you don't physically click on it. Command Option Escape. There you go. Yep. Thank you, Carrie. So yeah, that's what you do. And you shut your browser off by letting your operating system kill it in the background. And then, because as of right now, none of the stuff is on your computer because you didn't click anything yet. As soon as you click, then the stuff's going to be on your computer. And across the top of this, actually saying here, you know, the Chrome remote desktop host and ad blocker Chrome extension are the two things that will get downloaded, which incidentally are legit software built by Chrome so that you can do business and remote into your desktop, or you can block ads. But these guys are using it to get into your browser and pull your contact list and pull your search history and remote into your computer and take it over. So, I'm on my last slide here. The reason why they want to do all that is highlighted in red down here. A hacked Gmail account is worth $80 on the dark web. That's why they're trying to get your Google credentials. That's why everybody is after. And if you use Google to sign in to your phone, you use Google to sign into your email, probably used Google to make a Microsoft account to sign into your computer, or an Apple ID to sign into your Apple computers. So that's the granddaddy of everything, and that's what they want, all the money. And oh, I lied, there was one more slide. So you report a crime in Canada, you use the Anti-Fraud Center. In the US, you use the FBI's Internet Complaint Center. And the reason why you want to do that instead of calling the local police is because if it happened on the internet, the local police does not have jurisdiction and they can't do anything for you except open a case that'll never get closed. I am done. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Todd.